Apple was the most valuable company in the world from 2021 to 2023, but in 2024, Microsoft claimed the top title. By 2025, Apple has fallen to third place, with Nvidia and Microsoft taking the top two spots. With numerous lawsuits for being anti-competitive, device and firmware manipulation, and supply chain issues, along with a lack of innovation, Apple has been on a steady decline. The company's golden age was largely defined by Steve Jobs, who, after his return in 1997, shifted Apple's focus from a sprawling, unfocused catalog to a streamlined product portfolio. The first step was the introduction of the iMac, an all-in-one computer with a striking design that became a bestseller and a cultural icon. Jobs was a believer in focusing on the product above all else. He famously said, "My model for business is the Beatles. They were four guys who kept each other's kind of negative tendencies in check. They balanced each other, and the total was greater than the sum of the parts. That's how I see business. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people." He believed that if you made great products, the financial success would follow. During his tenure from 1997 to 2011, Apple introduced a series of groundbreaking products that redefined their respective industries. Here's a look at some of the most iconic releases during that period. By 2010, this product-first approach had paid off immensely, with the company holding a staggering $26.9 billion in cash. When Tim Cook took over as CEO in late 2011, the company's philosophy began to change. The focus shifted from a product-centric enterprise to a financial one. In 2012, Cook announced a dividend and share repurchase program, a move that delighted financiers and investors, including Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, which invested $1 billion. The stock price, which was around $17 in 2012, rose to $27 by 2015, a clear reflection of this new financial focus. This shift was accompanied by a noticeable change in corporate culture. Under Jobs, designers and engineers would eagerly prepare portfolios for his visits, knowing he would scrutinize every detail. This level of focus on design and engineering has reportedly waned under Cook's leadership. Another key change was the departure of renowned designer Jony Ive in 2019, who's now with OpenAI, followed by the news in 2025 that the design team would now report directly to Tim Cook, a move some critics believe solidifies the company's focus on operations over design. Cook also pivoted from a focus on the core functionality of a product to its visual appeal and fashion. A prime example is the Apple Watch, which was not initially showcased to tech journalists, but was instead featured in Vogue magazine, emphasizing its status as a fashion accessory rather than a technological innovation. The company's priorities were further reflected in key staff changes, with a move away from designers, engineers, and innovators towards financiers and upper management geared towards savings and efficiencies. Prices have also increased drastically. For example, the original iPhone cost $499, whilst today's iPhone 16 Pro Max starts at $1,199. This contrasts sharply with the Steve Jobs era, where the price of the iPod actually decreased over time. The increase in price has not been matched by a similar increase in innovation. Apple's keyboards, GUI, and iPads have all been criticized for falling behind competitors. The Vision Pro, their biggest innovative release, was initially expected to sell 1 million units, but only sold around half of that amount, a clear sign of consumer disappointment. This lack of a cohesive, product-first vision was perhaps best illustrated by the cancellation of the air-powered charging mat, where an inability to meet engineering challenges was met with a financial write-off. The same could be said for Apple Intelligence and Siri. While Apple had a head start with Siri in 2011, they failed to invest in its development, allowing competitors like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon to leap ahead in the world of generative AI. ChatGPT represented everything Siri should have been, but Apple's reliance on dated, rule-based technology meant that they fumbled the biggest tech trend of the decade. The company's lack of investment in AI infrastructure is staggering. In 2023, while Meta had 150,000 AI chips, Microsoft had 500,000 AI chips, and Google had over 1 million. Apple had only around 50,000. Instead of building their own infrastructure, the company decided to use Google's cloud services to supplement its AI needs, a decision typically made by smaller, less capitalized companies, despite Apple's $130 billion in cash. The decline was further highlighted by the fall in Apple's stock prices in recent years, which coincided with the release of Apple Intelligence, a move intended to restore shareholder confidence. The launch was marred by mistakes and malfunctions, and a promoted improved Siri was subsequently delayed, with some experts now saying it won't be released until 2027. External factors such as geopolitical influences have also hurt Apple's development, including the cost of manufacturing iPhones, factory locations, material costs, and consumer demand in different regions. Ultimately, Apple's prioritization of cost-cutting over innovation has led to a steady decline in consumer confidence, affecting shareholder trust and decreasing market share. This is evidenced by Apple holding the top spot for stock buybacks in the world, with an estimated $110 billion in 2024, compared to Google's $70 billion, Meta's $50 billion. Meanwhile, R&D spending was considerably less than Amazon's, with Apple spending $30 billion to Amazon's $85 billion in 2024. Apple's mobile device competitors, such as the Google Pixel and Samsung's feature phones, have made better, more cost-efficient products that provide value for money. The increase in the Chinese market has also contributed to a very questionable moment in Apple's recent history. But what is not questionable is the company's steady decline. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, be sure to hit the like button, comment below your thoughts, and hit subscribe to keep up to date with the latest content from this channel.